Students have been around water. The goal of this is for students to understand the processes involved in the water cycle. Students will understand the context of these key ideas related to the topic. Water has been around since the beginning of time. How long has it been around?
Since the beginning of time.
Water is always on the move. Water is always doing what?
On the move.
It's always on the move. During the water cycle, water evaporates, condenses, falls as precipitation, and then collects to start the water cycle all over again. What's the first thing water does? Evaporates. What does it do? Condenses. Next? Falls as precipitation. And then what happens to the cycle? It starts all the way over again. The water cycle continues over and over again. What does continue mean? It never stops. It never stops. So there are 5 key vocabulary words that we'll go over related to this lesson. The first one is water cycle. What is it?
Water cycle.
The next one is evaporation.
Evaporation.
Next, condensation.
Condensation.
Next, precipitation.
Precipitation.
And then last one over there in yellow is collection. What is it?
Collection.
I'm going to read you the definition of each word first, and then you'll repeat it after me. The water cycle is the process of water evaporating, condensing, falling as precipitation, and collecting over and over again. I'll read it again, then you'll read it. The water cycle, the process of water evaporating, condensing, falling as precipitation, and collecting over and over again. What's the water cycle?
The process of water evaporating, condensing, falling as precipitation, and collecting over and over again.
Good job. The next one is evaporation. What is it?
Evaporation.
It's the process of water turning into vapor or steam and rising into the air. I'll read it again. Evaporation. The process of water turning into vapor or steam and rising into the air again. Class, what is evaporation?
The process of water turning into vapor or steam and rising into the air.
Okay, read it again. I need you to read what you see. Read it again.
The process of water turning into vapor or steam and rising into the air.
Good. The next one is condensation. What is it?
Condensation.
Condensation is water vapor rising into the air, getting cold, and turning back into liquid. I'll read it again. Condensation is water vapor rising into the air, getting cold, and turning back into liquid. What is condensation?
Water vapor rising into the air, getting cold, and turning back to liquid.
Good. The next one is precipitation. Say it.
Precipitation.
Precipitation is water collecting in the air until it becomes heavy and falls back to the earth again. Again, precipitation is water collecting in the air until it becomes heavy and falls back to earth. What is precipitation?
Water collecting in the air until it becomes heavy and falls back to earth.
Then water can fall back to earth in a couple of forms. What's one way that it can come back? Is what is? Give me one. Snow is one. Sleet. What's another? Rain. What's the other one? Hail. So did we get them all? Rain, snow, sleet, hail. Yeah, we got them all. Okay. Good job. And the last one is, and I don't know why I wrote it in that color, collections. What is it?
Collection.
It's water gathering in rivers, lakes, streams, and oceans. I'll say it again. Water gathering in rivers, lakes, streams, and oceans. What is it?
Water gathering in rivers, lakes, streams, and oceans.
Okay, so today we will get ready for the effects of water performing tasks by reviewing the water cycle. As I stated before, water has been around for many, many years. If a raindrop falls from the sky today, it could have been part of a lake or a stream at one time. And the same raindrop could still be around millions of years from now. It is part of the water cycle. We are going to first review a handout of the water cycle. Please take one and pass them around. So the handout that you're getting right now is a graph of the water cycle. Come on, quicker. Let me have some. Take a look. Read the caption at the bottom of the page, please. Question. How many people are, lay the extra one on the desk like that. So this is the cycle. This is what's called the water cycle. What is it called?
The water cycle.
Okay. And the water cycle, we talked about this before, has how many stages to it? Three. What are they?
Condensation, evaporation, and precipitation.
What is, now think about, we liken water, the 3 stages of water, to 3 stages of something else. What do we call them? The 3 stages of?
Matter.
Matter. What are the 3 stages of matter?
Solid,
liquid, and gas. So if we looked at the water cycle, what's the gas stage of the water cycle?
Evaporation.
What's the solid? Precipitation. And what's the last one?
Condensation.
Right. Okay, listen up. When water vapors, have you ever noticed how many puddles there are after it rains and how they disappear when the sun comes out again? They don't really disappear. The water turns into vapor or steam and rises into the air. And this is called what?
Evaporation.
What is it called?
Evaporation.
Thank you. When the water vapors rise into the air, it gets cold and turns back into a liquid. This is called condensation. What is it called?
Condensation.
What does condensation form in the sky? Think about it. When that water goes back up, what does it form in the sky? Jakayla? When that condensation is in the sky, what does it form? Percy?
A precipitation cloud.
It forms a who?
A precipitation.
Good. It forms a well, just give me the last part. It forms a cloud. Right. We talked about clouds before. So much water condenses in the clouds, and the clouds become heavy. The air cannot hold water anymore. What do you think when the air gets too heavy to hold all of that water? Bobby? It may start to rain. What else could it start to do, Jonathan? It may rain. What else? It could do what? It could snow. Zoe, what else could it do? We could have a hailstorm. Yes, take one from the back table, please. So next, what do you think happens when all of that water falls back to earth? What happens when all of that water falls back to earth? Turn to your partner. Think. What's one thing that happens when it falls back to earth? Five. 4. What do you think happens when it falls back?
If I go back to work, look, it's what and then it come back to the work. Because
What do you think happens to it when it falls back to earth?
You agree with me?
Goes where? Think about it. I said when it falls back to earth. 3. 2. 1. So we already talked about the water cycle. We talked about condensation and it comes back as precipitation. But what happens with that precipitation when it falls back to earth, Ariel?
The rivers, lakes, and streams and stuff collects it.
Right. It collects in rivers, lakes, and streams. But one of the things at first is it runs down what? It runs down the land, so it runs across. That's what we get called runoff, where water runs across a solid surface. But it collects in rivers, lakes, and streams. Bless you. You all right? Yes.
When it rains your driveway, it's like a little ramp and you just go down.
Right. And most of the time, in most neighborhoods, you'll see it on the sidewalk where it's rain and the mud washes down the hill. That's called runoff. The sun heats up the water and the cycle starts all over again. Does anyone have any questions about our quick review of the water cycle? So let's review. Which part of the water cycle is this?
Evaporation.
What's happening right here? Water's turned to a gas. Good. What is this part of it?
Condensation.
What has happened to that gas? It has started to do what?
Turn back into a liquid.
Right, it's turned cold. It's started to turn to a solid. What part of this is it?
Precipitation.
What is it? What has happened to the water vapors? They've gotten too heavy, so the sky has to do what with it? It has to let it go. How can it come back to the earth? Jonathan, listen to what I said. How can it come back? What is it? Snow, sleet, rain, or hail. Good job. Good job. So our next activity. Now that we have reviewed the water cycle, we are going to do a reader's theater script of an event that could take place while a drop of water moves through a cycle. What is a theater? It's a place you go see a movie. It's a place where you see a movie.
It's different kind of theaters.
Or we're talking about a movie theater. What'd you say? You got to go around that way. You can't do that right here. So we're gonna do a script to the show. So now I'm going to pass out. I want you to review. You have two sheets. One of them is a front and back sheet, and the other one is not. Calvin, could you tap the air conditioner, please? One of them is a front and back sheet, and the other one isn't. This is our script for our Reader's Theater, and everybody's going to have a part. Some of you will have to share a part with your neighbor, and some of you will get to do solo. Take one. Two. And one, huh? One of them is front and back. Pass these back. You don't need those. And this is the single sheet. Jonathan, you get a sheet? Make sure you don't skip Jonathan. It's enough for everybody. Zoe, what's the problem? Take one. You need one more who? Please don't draw the diagram of the water cycle. You're going to need it later. Please start looking over the script for the Reader's Theater. You should have two, Jonathan. One of them is front and back, and one of them is single. You got an extra. Hold on. Calvin, turn around. I've got yours right here in my hand. Kevin, did you turn it around? So everybody, you should have a sheet like this. It's front and back. It should say on the front of it, the Water Cycle Reader's Theater Script. And the second one should just say Missouri Assessment, and it only has one line, Ocean Water Drop 2. Please make sure you have both of them. Raise your hand when you've got them both. Which one you need? Somebody's holding on to them because I gave you them. Calvin, you've got more in your. Those guys behind you need that, Calvin. Give it to her. What you missing? Everybody make sure you've got two different sheets. Before we get started with the second part, let's go over all of the parts to the